Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP Reduvia Dagger build guide for an Elden Ring, and this can help out with the Shadow of the Erdtree because there's a lot of bosses that are weak to bleed, and this does a ton of bleed damage. So I'll be going over the full build if you're level 150, but if you're lower level, I'll talk about which stats you want to get first. Now, to equip this weapon, we need 5 strength, 13 dexterity, and 13 arcane, so really low stat requirements. I would recommend getting those as early as possible, but still keeping your vigor pretty high. You want to have at least 30 vigor early on, and then you can start to pump up your other stats. But for this level 150 build, I'm using 50 vigor, 28 mind, 30 endurance, 10 strength, that's just the minimum strength requirement, 36 dexterity, 15 faith. This allows us to cast a few incantations that'll further boost the damage of this, and then 50 arcane. The reason I went a little higher in the dexterity is because it's going to give us a bit more physical damage. The bleed damage scales off our faith or our arcane, but the main physical damage strength is coming from our dexterity. So as for this, we want to make sure that we have at least a medium roll, and then equipped armor that lets you get at least 51 poise to resist a 1 late attack without being staggered. Ideally, 56 poise will let you resist 2 late attacks without losing your stance. So 60 poise is just roughly around there. I'm using also the White Mask and the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. These have the same benefit that if there's blood loss in the vicinity, it ups our attack power. I also have the Lord of Blood's robes there, just for the theming, and the Bullgoat Gauntlets and Greaves, which will give us the heavy poise. Now, I'm also using Shard of Alexander. You can also use the Warrior Jar Shard to increase the attack power skills. Also, the Carrion Filigree Crest will reduce the FP consumption, so we can just spam the weapon skill. Lord of Exaltation I explained, and then the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman, which you can swap out depending on what type of damage the boss deals. If they deal mostly holy, go with the holy resist, and etc. I'm also using raw meat dumplings because your mimic can use these to heal themselves, so that's a nice little benefit too. We can also equip another knife onto the offhand if you want something else for extra damage. I like the Scorpion Stinger because this will give us Scarlet Rot buildup. So you can do a few jump attacks with it, and then you can build up Scarlet Rot that way. Because when you do a jump attack, it hits with both of the weapons there, so that can be an option. But as for our incantations, I got Rotten Breath here. Scarlet Rot's always nice to be able to apply. Flame Grant Me Strength's going to give us extra damage. Pest Threads is great for large bosses. I got Bale's Tyranny. This is a DLC exclusive. I'll show it off later. And Swarm of Flies, this requires 15 Faith, 16 Arcane. What's nice about Swarm of Flies is you can cast this a couple times before even attacking with your weapon art, and it'll deal bleed, so we got a bleed proc off there. And then with the extra bleed, we're dealing a ton of damage with the weapon art, so you can just spam it. It does almost 12k damage, or 1200 damage just like that, so very high damage in this weapon, and it also attacks fast, so if you don't even attack with the weapon art, you can just go in and spam the weapon skill. As you saw there, it took 2 hits to be able to deal bleed to this Albinaric here, so that's quite a bit. So we also deal blood loss build up whenever we attack, even if they have their shield up, so you can just spam the weapon attack to be able to get some bleed damage. That's another nice option, and you can just go quickly with those quick attacks there. Also, if you bring out the weapon, you can do a fast attack there and get Scarlet Rot inflicted, so that's a nice little benefit of the Scorpion Dagger, which is acquired later on in the game. But this weapon art is incredibly powerful. You basically use it like it's a melee weapon, and the bleed damage on it is just bonkers. It's extremely powerful. Flame Cleanse Me is another incantation that I like to use because if you're fighting against something that applies Scarlet Rot, that will remove it, or poison as well. So it's not a bad incantation to have since we can use it. Rotten Breath is nice too though, because we can, if there's a boss that's weak to rot, you want to at least get that applied on them, so using either the Scorpion Trigger or the Scorpion Dagger or the Rotten Breath there. Flame Grant Me Strength does give us a nice boost for damage, so that's something that's good. And then you can just go ahead and spam the Reduvia's Blood Blade there. So Reduvia Blood Blade is its weapon art, incredible amounts of damage. With the Carrion Filigree Crest, we're able to spam it a little bit more than we normally would be able to spam it. And then the bleed damage buildup is just freaking crazy on this weapon. So while daggers have a pretty short range, the weapon art on this gives it a nice considerable amount of range. And then we can also deal bleed damage through shields, so very powerful. Oh, I shredded there. Oh. And I got killed. So yeah, the Reduvia Bloodblade is extremely powerful for the amount of bleed damage you can build up, as well as the range that it has for a dagger, and it pairs very well with the Scorpion Stinger as I showed there. So these two weapons can make an extremely powerful build that'll help you take down the Elden Ring base game as well as the DLC. So you can see there, that's really fast attacks. I don't even have the Scorpion Stinger upgraded on this playthrough. and the damage is still incredible because it is going to apply Scarlet Rod regardless of where you're at in terms of levels. You can see there that red flowing through us is where we get the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. So anytime that we proc bleed, we will have that increased damage for a short period of time, which is really nice to have because this is going to apply it really easily. As you can see there, just spam. You can just spam this weapon skill at a range, and it's going to shred down anything that you're fighting. So, yeah, Reduvia Bloodblade is extremely powerful, probably one of the most OP, but also at the same time somewhat underrated weapon. I don't see a lot of people talking about how good this weapon is. Mostly Eleanor's Pole Blade alongside the Rivers of Blood, but this deserves a mention too because it's so powerful. So there it is. If you found this video useful, please hit that subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.